the discovery. The desert stretched endlessly under the burning twin suns. Waves of golden sand moving like the ocean. In that sea of dust walked Elias Ward, a lone scavenger searching for forgotten machines of the old world. His clothes were torn, his boots heavy with sand. But his eyes still carried hope. For years he had searched these ruins, looking for something valuable, something powerful. Most days he found nothing but old metal and broken tech. But today felt different. His scanner beeped louder than ever before, showing a strong metallic signal deep beneath the dunes. Elias frowned, adjusting his scanner. The signal was huge, far larger than any wreck he had ever found. He began to dig. His hands moved fast, his heart racing. Each layer of sand revealed something smoother, darker and colder than the earth. It wasn't rock. It was metal. A giant surface hidden beneath 1,000 years of silence. Hours passed and the sun began to fall. The moment his shovel struck a glowing blue line, the ground trembled slightly, a low hum filled the air, and faint blue lights flickered beneath the sand. Elias stepped back, shocked. The light grew brighter, spreading in circles until a hidden entrance appeared before him. The air was cold and dry, a strange whisper echoing from below. He hesitated, then took a deep breath and stepped inside. The tunnel was narrow at first, but as he walked deeper, it opened into a massive hall. The walls were smooth and shining. Untouched by time, a strange voice suddenly spoke, deep and calm, echoing all around him. "Awaiting your orders, Admiral." Elias froze. His heart jumped into his throat. The air around him seemed to vibrate with life. He looked around wildly. "Who's there?" he shouted. The voice replied again, slower this time. "Systems online. Command unit detected. Welcome back." Admiral Elias Ward. Elias stood still, the color draining from his face. How could this ancient machine know his name? The ship's lights flared, bright and alive again after 1,000 silent years. Outside, the desert wind howled softly, unaware that something powerful, something human, had just awakened again beneath its endless sands. The awakening. The door behind Elias slid open with a heavy hiss. A cold wind swept through the dark corridor. Carrying the scent of dust and metal, blue lights began to glow along the walls. Guiding his path deeper into the ship, his footsteps echoed in the silence. Each sound reminded him that he was walking inside something ancient, something alive. He ran his hand along the smooth surface of the wall. It felt warm, like it was breathing. The ship seemed to recognize his touch, and the lights grew brighter with every step. He stopped in front of a massive doorway that opened by itself, revealing a large control room filled with empty seats and dark screens. In the center of the room floated a glowing crystal sphere. It flickered for a moment, then a calm female voice spoke again. "System core online. AI Athena active. Admiral." It has been 1,047 years since last contact. Elias stared at the sphere in disbelief. "I am not an admiral," he said slowly. "I'm just a scavenger," the voice replied, steady and confident. Identity confirmed through genetic signature. "You are the direct descendant of Admiral Elias Ward, commander of the Human Defense Fleet." Elias felt the ground shift beneath him. He looked at the screens as they flickered to life, showing strange maps of stars and battles long forgotten. Ships marked with the human insignia surrounded alien symbols he didn't recognize. "What happened here?" Elias whispered. Athena's voice grew quiet. "Humanity fell. The fleet went dark. I have waited for your return, Admiral." The words hit him like a storm. Humanity fell? He couldn't understand it. He had heard stories about old wars, but not about total extinction. Suddenly, the ship began to hum again. The floor vibrated, and blue energy lines raced along the walls. Outside, the sand started to move as the massive ship slowly rose from beneath the desert. Elias grabbed onto a console to steady himself. "Athena, what's happening?" he shouted. "Power systems reactivating," the AI answered calmly. "Warning, long-range sensors detect movement nearby." Elias's heart pounded faster. He didn't know what was coming, but he knew one thing. The past was no longer asleep, and he had just awakened something that might change everything. The signal. The ship trembled softly as systems came back to life. Lights blinked across the control room, showing hundreds of readings Elias couldn't understand. He stood before the main console. Watching as symbols and maps flickered across the screen, Athena's voice echoed calmly. "Primary engines are offline, weapons inactive. but communication systems are functional. Elias took a deep breath. Athena, who sent that signal you mentioned? The AI paused for a moment as if thinking. Signal source unidentified, however its frequency matches known patterns of Zorath technology. Elias frowned. Zorath? He repeated. The species responsible for humanity's fall, Athena said quietly. They were the enemy. Elias felt a chill crawl up his spine. He looked around the control room, at the empty chairs where people once sat, at the silent screens now glowing again after 1,000 years. It was like walking through the bones of a giant. Athena, are there any humans left? He asked. The AI hesitated. Unknown. Records end at year 3039. Human colonies stopped transmitting. Only this vessel remained functional. Awaiting orders. Elias took a step back. His chest felt tight. The idea that he might be the only human left alive filled him with a strange mix of fear and loneliness. The console suddenly flashed red. A loud alarm echoed through the ship. Warning, unidentified contact detected. Closing fast, Athena said. Elias looked at the main screen. A small object was descending rapidly through the atmosphere, glowing like a falling star. What is that? He whispered. A probe, Athena replied. Zorath in design, likely scanning for life or technology. It has detected our energy signature. Elias clenched his fists. Can we hide? Negative, Athena said. Power levels are too high. We have been seen. Outside, the desert wind roared louder as the first alien drone appeared in the sky, its metallic body shining under the twin suns. Elias watched through the ship's window, his heart beating like thunder. Athena, he said, voice steady but cold. Prepare the ship for defense. The AI responded instantly, acknowledged, activating defense systems. And as the ancient human ship awakened fully, the silence of 1,000 years ended with the hum of power and the promise of war. First contact, again. The sky burned with light as the alien drone descended, its black surface reflecting the twin suns like glass. Elias watched it from the main deck, his breath short and his hands shaking slightly. It was the first living, or rather moving thing he had seen in days. Athena's calm voice filled the room. Target identified, Zorath reconnaissance drone. It is scanning the surface for energy signals. Elias could see the drone releasing a bright red beam that swept across the sand. He stepped back, realizing that it was moving closer to the ship's location. Athena, can it see us? He asked. Affirmative. Our reactivation has been detected. It will transmit our coordinates soon. Elias's pulse raced. Then stop it now. The lights around the control room shifted to red. Alarms pulsed like a heartbeat. Activating defense systems, Athena said. Charging pulse cannons. The ground beneath the ship trembled as ancient machinery came alive. Dust fell from the ceiling as massive cannons unfolded from the sand-covered hull. For the first time in 1,000 years, the ship was awake. The drone turned its sensors toward them. Preparing to send its signal, a flash of light erupted from the ship, and a beam of blue energy sliced through the sky. In an instant, the alien drone exploded into 1,000 burning pieces. Elias stared through the glass, the fireball fading into smoke. He felt both amazed and terrified. You did it, he whispered. Athena's tone remained calm. Threat neutralized. But the signal was partially transmitted before destruction. Elias's stomach dropped. Meaning what? Meaning they know we are awake, Athena said. The Zorath will come. They always come. The wind outside howled again, lifting sand into the air. The desert, once silent, was now trembling with hidden power. Elias looked at the glowing screens, showing star maps and enemy routes long forgotten. He didn't understand all of it. But he knew one thing. The fight that ended humanity was about to begin again. He clenched his jaw, eyes hard. Then let them come, he said quietly. Athena's lights glowed brighter. As you command, Admiral, and deep beneath the sand, the sleeping fleet began to stir. The truth of the fall. The ship floated silently above the desert now, its engines humming softly like a sleeping beast. Elias stood in the command room, staring at the glowing screens filled with strange symbols and flashing warnings. He could feel the weight of everything pressing on his chest. Athena, he said quietly. Tell me the truth. What happened to humanity? For a long moment, the AI didn't answer. Only the sound of the engines filled the air. Then her voice came, softer than before. Humanity fought for survival, Admiral. The Zorath invaded every colony, every world. They wanted our technology, our worlds, and our extinction. Elias took a deep breath, trying to understand. So we lost? He whispered. Humanity never surrendered, Athena said. We fought until the last ship fell silent. The final fleet gathered near Earth, led by your ancestor, Admiral Ward. He gave the order to hide the Arcadia and its sister ships beneath the surface, waiting for the day we would rise again. Elias looked at the old command chair covered in dust. Imagining the man who once sat there, he felt a strange connection, a pull in his heart. But if humanity is gone, he said slowly, why do you recognize me? Your DNA, Athena replied. You carry the genetic signature of the Admiral's bloodline. My systems identify you as his successor. You are now the highest-ranking human alive. Elias stepped back, his eyes wide. The last human, he murmured. The ship lights dimmed slightly, as if mourning. I am sorry, Admiral. I kept the truth hidden until you were ready. Elias looked out at the endless sand, feeling both small and powerful. The stars above seemed closer now, like they were waiting. A sudden alarm broke the silence. Multiple contacts detected, Athena warned. Zorath ships approaching from orbit. Elias clenched his fists. They found us, he said. Yes, Athena replied. But we are not alone. She activated a holographic display, showing hundreds of dark shapes buried deep under the sand. The Arcadia was never just one ship, Admiral. Beneath this desert sleeps the last human fleet. Elias's eyes lit with new fire. Then it's time to wake them up, he said. The return of the fleet. The desert shook beneath Elias's feet. Sand waves rolled across the dunes as if the earth itself was waking up. Above him, the Arcadia hovered like a mountain of metal and light. Casting a long shadow under the twin suns, Athena's voice was calm but filled with power. Fleet awakening sequence ready, Admiral? Authorization required. Elias looked at the holographic console glowing before him. His reflection shimmered on its surface. He could see fear in his own eyes, but also something stronger, determination. Do it, he said firmly. Confirmed, Athena replied. Activating awakening protocol. A deep rumble echoed through the air. The sand around the Arcadia began to split and sink from beneath the surface. Huge shapes started to rise, one after another. The buried warships of the old human defense fleet emerged from the ground, their metal hulls shining under the light. Elias stepped closer to the window, unable to look away. It was like watching giants rise from their graves. Dust and sand fell from their sides as their engines came alive for the first time in 1,000 years. Athena's voice carried a tone of pride. 72 ships responding, including carriers, destroyers, and cruisers. The fleet lives again. Elias smiled slightly, feeling his heart race. Then humanity isn't finished yet, he whispered. No, Admiral, Athena said. Humanity endures. The ships formed a perfect formation around the Arcadia, their lights blinking in silent salute, the dark sky filled with motion and power. A storm of engines lighting up the night, Elias looked down at the sand-covered world that once held their graves. 1,000 years of silence, he said softly. And now we rise again, Athena responded. Awaiting your orders, Admiral. Elias took a deep breath. His eyes locked on the stars above. Prepare all ships for combat readiness, he said. We end this, once and for all. The engines roared louder. Shaking the air, across the sky, the human fleet turned its guns toward the heavens where alien ships glimmered faintly in the distance. The war that ended humanity was about to begin again. But this time, humanity had returned. The last Admiral. The stars burned bright above the desert world. The silence of space was broken by the thunder of engines. The human fleet, once lost to time, now stood ready in orbit, their weapons glowing like blue fire. Elias Ward stood at the command center of the Arcadia, his eyes fixed on the giant screen before him. The Zorath fleet was approaching, a dark wave of metal and hatred stretching across the void. Athena's voice came through the speakers. Calm and clear. Enemy fleet entering range. Estimated numbers, 900 warships. Human fleet count, 72. Elias smiled faintly. We're outnumbered, he said quietly. As always, Admiral, Athena replied. The ships around him moved into formation. Old systems running perfectly after centuries of sleep. The crew that once manned them was gone, but their machine still remembered their purpose. Elias placed his hand on the console. To every ship in the fleet, he said, his voice steady. We fight for what was lost, for what we were. And for what we can be again, humanity stands. Athena transmitted his message across all ships. The reply came instantly, 1,000 lights flashing in unity. The fleet was ready. The first wave of Zorath ships opened fire. Blue and red energy beams cut through the darkness, shaking the Arcadia's hull. Athena responded with a calm tone. Shields at 80%. Returning fire. The sky turned into chaos. Explosions lighting the void. Human ships darted between enemy lines, striking hard and fast. The ancient technology of Earth proved stronger than anyone remembered. Elias moved between consoles, giving commands, his voice filled with fire. Target their command ship, all batteries fire! A massive beam of energy shot from the Arcadia, cutting through space and slamming into the Zorath flagship. The alien vessel erupted in light, breaking apart into 1,000 burning fragments. Cheers echoed through the comms. Athena's voice softened. Enemy fleet in retreat, victory achieved. Admiral, Elias stood quietly. Staring at the stars, the silence returned. But it was not the silence of defeat. It was the silence of victory. He smiled faintly. For humanity, he whispered. Athena's lights glowed softly. For humanity, Admiral, and as the human fleet drifted among the stars, their lights shining like ancient ghosts reborn, the legend of the last Admiral began.